Okay, so we've been tracking, and it was weird that this didn't get more attention before. We've been tracking Rachel Maddow renegotiate her contract with MSNBC, but there was a big caveat that she was effectively given permission and planning to step back from her daily show. Now, the expectation was that that wouldn't really happen till kind of the end of the year. Apparently, insiders were thinking she might take some time off in the spring. Well, that initial time off has come a lot more quickly than people expected. Let's go ahead and throw this insider tear sheet up on the screen. And I think that this happened last night, that she announced to her viewers that she's going to take a temporary break from her MSNBC show to work on movie and podcast projects. The movie, we know, is based on her other book and podcast, Bagman, about a 1970s political bribery scandal. It's going to be directed by Ben Stiller. She is going to serve as executive producer. So that's the movie project. Apparently, she also wants to work on a new podcast project. But this is just a reminder, Saagar. I mean, Rachel Maddow is the most... It's not even close. Rachel Maddow made MSNBC.
She is the anchor. She created the modern environment.
Yes.
Everything stems from
So the initially, just for people who don't know the whole history, MSNBC wanted to just be like a competitor to CNN. And so they had programming. It was all kind of scattershot. It was low quality. It was bad. And then they stumbled on Keith Olbermann, who had this, really aggressive, very popular show. It was a very good show, honestly, in the cable news world, and relatively pioneering. Took sort of like the Sports Center type of model and applied it to the political world. And he's this very strident voice against the Bush administration.
Which is what the country really wanted at the time.
And they weren't getting it anywhere else. And so he takes off. And out of that success, they say, oh, there's something here. So this was never like we believe in progressive values thing. It was always a money play. I mean, that's what this was all about. They saw the ratings for Olbermann. They said, this works. Rachel, who, came out of Air America, she was part of the regular guests on Olbermann's show, and then she ends up with her own show, and then Olbermann implodes and is a total asshole to everyone, and everyone hates him, and he gets fired. And so she becomes really the tentpole for MSNBC. And the whole model and who their audience is now really develops from that. They push out voices like Ed Schultz, people who were more sort of like that old working class base of the Democratic Party. They lean into the professorial, the Rachel Maddow, the Chris Hayes, that liberal affluent direction of the Democratic Party. Of course, she's the chief Russiagate proponent, pushes them, as far into conspiracy land as they possibly can go. But in terms of what she does, she is the one person there who has a real dedicated audience.
Yes.
And they have no one.
And they show up for her in a big way.
They do.
8:59 or what? Well, I forget. I don't even know which.
20.
Yeah.
The demo, I can't remember.
Okay.
Right away.
Anyway, they all come and they turn the TV on for Rachel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so no one else at that network has that power. Nobody does.
That's right.
And there's very few in cable news who have that power overall. There is no one there who can possibly fill their shoes, and they know it. Apparently, here's the next piece of news. Let's put Axios up on the screen. So Axios had just broken news of other big shakeups. So Brian Williams leaving the 11 p.m. Stephanie Rule is being moved into that 11 p.m. hour so she could tell us what Wall Street's thinking at 11 p.m. instead of at 9 a.m. or whenever she was before.
Who is going to watch that? What are they thinking?
And the really funny thing to me is that they, again, have no one to fill even those shoes.
The 9 a.m. hour.
Let alone Rachel Maddow's shoes. They don't even have anyone to fill Stephanie Rule's shoes at 9 a.m. So they're just extending Morning Joe for a fourth hour. Because that's what the country is really.
That's what the people need.
Really, that's what the people are desperate for. 4 hours of Joe and Mika.
Yeah, that's a great point that you had. I hadn't even considered, which is they have so little bench of talent that they're like, oh no, our only flagship morning product, just extend that thing for an hour and pay everybody like 25% more. This is really bad for them. I mean, this is an existential, almost extinction level event, because the thing is that their flagship news product was Meet the Press, but Meet the Press was dying in the Trump or in the Biden era. So They take Chuck Todd and they bump him down. They give the 5 p.m. hour to Nicole Wallace. So now you had 2 hours of Russiagate madness on top of, with a little sandwich until you get to Rachel Maddow, which is the queen of Russiagate herself. And obviously you have elitism hour on Morning Joe. But the problem is that now they have to extend Morning Joe. Then they extended Nicole Wallace. Now they have nobody in the prime time. What are they going to do? Who is going to take over? They have nobody now who can compete with Tucker. I mean, Rachel basically was the liberal Tucker, and now it's dead. I mean, dead in the water. Chris Hayes and who is it? O'Donnell. They don't even come close to the numbers of what they're going to be able to put up. So, you know, this is a real disaster for them. But it also just shows that they don't know what the hell to do. They truly have no idea. By all accounts, their streaming efforts have been a failure. Mehdi Hasan's show and Zerlina Maxwell, complete disaster. A lot of their Peacock news type content, they're trying to launch some like NBC News, Today Show, behind the paywall stuff. Nobody cares. It's just like CNN. What are you gonna do? And now they don't have anything to say. I think that's actually the biggest problem, which is, look, I don't watch Rachel Maddow, but at the end of the day, Biden sucks. What are you gonna do? You're gonna defend him? There ain't no Biden bros who are out there who are like tuning in every single night in order to hear how great he is. And then there's no bench. What do we want to tune into the Kamala hour? The Pete hour? I mean, what are these people gonna do? They don't have a central guiding narrative. Their boogeyman is gone. The conspiracy theories have been dwindling for a while, and so it's a real problem. I mean, they built ultimately their network around the emerging Democratic base, which was these affluent white suburbanites. And that's great until it's not, because those people are fickle. They tune out. To them, politics is something that you care about as a lifestyle brand when Trump is in power. And after that, everybody just goes on to going back to brunch and making a whole lot of money. So now what are they going to do? NBC News is rudderless. I mean, they just hired freaking Stephen Hayes. We covered yesterday the Iraq war propagandist and liar. They're trying to do the Never Trump thing. They can't lose their existing upper middle class white libs, but they can't expand elsewhere. Young people don't care what they have to say. It's a real, you know, I feel so bad for them.
Yeah, we all do. We all feel really bad.
I'm just shedding, what are they, crocodile tears? I've got real crocodile tears for them.
I do feel like your point about they have nothing to say is probably the most important one.
Yeah, what's on their website?
I was looking at what has Rachel Maddow been covering. I pulled up the Maddow blog.
Yes.
And it's all January 6th investigation stuff.
I mean, why did you tune in for that?
And you know, I think as we tried to demonstrate on the actual day of January 6th and try to, you know, take it seriously and what it actually meant for the country, there are ways you could talk about the things that led us to January 6th and a genuine crisis of democracy that the country really is facing that truly is an existential threat in terms of the America that, you know, we'd like to believe in.
Right.
But of course, I mean, they don't do that. All they do is the like, Trump bad, Republicans bad, and Trump's bad again, and Republicans are bad, and Okay, we get it. Like, we got that message. How it ends up not being all that interesting after a while. Like, okay, take it a level deeper. Why? Okay, if they're so bad, why are people supporting them? What's behind that? What's going on there? What are maybe some failures on the Democratic side? What are, like, how did the country end up in this place where people who, okay, we get it, are bad and evil? How did they end up with so much power and with so many people fervently believing in the project that they're engaged in? That sort of introspective conversation, like they can't engage in because it would go against their sponsors in the DNC. So yeah, they've cultivated an audience base that and told them that if they elected Biden, they could go back to brunch. And they did. And they did.
They're in big trouble.
So that's essentially what's happened here. And I'm sure it's no accident that in that environment, somebody, you know, who put her politics and her conspiracy theorizing aside, is very talented. Rachel Maddow looks at that landscape and says, this is not all that interesting to me. Let me go and do something else. So I do think that they have a real kind of crisis on their hands with her moving on. I mean, she's still going to be with the network. She'll be there for big events. But in terms of her daily show, its days are numbered and they have nothing to fill the gap.
They've got nothing. I cannot wait to see this thing crash and burn.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut. Our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions. All that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.